ReZero Season 2 Episode 24. We did it. Amazingly. I believed the whole time. I always knew she would succeed. Also rabbits, probably. Did she just find him through the ice? Did she just send up an ice signal by touching the ice? This is probably nothing, but a thought just occurred to me. We've all kind of like been assuming that completing the trial does what we think it does, but it was set up by Echidna. Well, you're right. She would never lie. It's exactly what we think it is. I think you should take refuge indoors, somewhere really sturdy. Yeah, sure, we'll wait in this blizzard for you while you go off and do personal things. We can't wait indoors. This is like that time you made me promise to wait on a stool for no reason. Couldn't just sit on the bed or something? Merely asking people to wait in the strangest places. I don't think you can really go any lower here, right? He lost Echidna, lost his book. If he loses Ram, and especially by his own hand, I don't know what's left. Especially on the back of her doing this to help him or save him. And loving him. Yes. Don't remind him. Or do remind him. I don't know if it's a great idea to leave him alone right now. Hope for the best, I guess. Hope for Roswaal's humanity. All seems kind of pointless now. He and Beatrice have a lot in common. And for the first time, Roswaal using his powers for good. And there it is. There's the lost child. Not only has he been leaning on this for a long time, in leaning on this, he's been suppressing his humanity, trying to write it off as not important, doubling down on it because he's afraid of it, and now it's forced on him. So he's forced to go all the way back to some previous point where he was lost and afraid before he adopted this whole viewpoint, suffer from the knowledge of lost time and all the wrongdoing he's done. It's all going to catch up to him at once. And on top of that, he nearly killed the one person who stuck with him through all of that and freed him from it. The only ray of light, I think, is the fact that Ram might survive. There's a real momentum to these things, because if you suppress those nagging feelings that something is going wrong and you explain it as for some other good, you're kind of betting it all that one, you'll get what you're aiming for, that your path is the right path, and even if you get it, that it was worth it, which you don't really know. It probably isn't. Okay. Maybe don't follow the spirits this time. Ryuzu-sans. Were there always this many? Oh, what? Okay. Is that a sacrifice? This multi-purpose crystal. He's busy. Ryuzu sacrificing to the end. That's true. It's amazing. Sometimes it happens that way. Sometimes there are just key moments in your life. Sometimes it's just a day, a word, an experience. One step at a time. Get through it together. Focus on the task at hand. I did this, but I'm trying to heal her. That's so cool. It's not fair. I think he wants to free Solid right now. I don't think he really cares about his own well-being at this moment. That doesn't look encouraging. That doesn't look good. Okay, that looks great. This is great. I feel like he's gonna be extra volatile right now. Or just comatose. Right, yeah. What do you have? You can't rely on him right now to do anything good. Not in this moment. Right, that's interesting. It's the opposite, and not coincidentally, it's exactly what he's been avoiding and rejecting this whole time. At some point he got lost in this whole thing. If this were real life, there would probably be some element of this for Roswaal that was an escape from something else. You know, you could just fall into echidna. You don't have to look anymore. You found it, and then you're a little bit too deep, you start ignoring the signs, you start making moral compromises, and then the more you cross into that line, the harder it is to go back, because you then have to face all the things you've done and haven't done, and things you'd be ashamed about if you couldn't distract yourself with what you're telling yourself is the goal that is worth all of this, and you ignore your friend and family's warnings. You tell yourself, no, it's okay, I got this, I can handle myself, but it gets increasingly worse, and you have to increasingly work to rationalize why you're on this path, cross even more lines, and now somehow you've become the biggest defender of your own hell, and the person you're presumably doing this for doesn't really care, or is just thrilled that it's so easy. They're relaxed because they're not the one really doing it, and they're right, it's you doing it, ultimately. Manipulation only goes so far as a reason if you are making choices and ignoring your own instincts, and so you're so practiced in the nothing else matters but this, not even because it's what you really think, but because it's what you need to justify all this craziness, that when it goes wrong, you have to face that all those things that you knowingly did harm to actually did matter and do matter, or everything was a lie and nothing matters, which is cope. It's understandable cope, but it is antithetical to the solution that was there the whole time. The one that you escaped from in the first place. Rub it in, why don't you? Roswaal doing his own trial right now. He's got to face all three at once, past, present, and future. I don't envy him. This has turned into pity. This could either be really great for him, or it could be terrible. This is a crossroads. Whoa, they're here. I don't know if we're equipped to handle this alone. We actually need Roswaal for this. We really need Roswaal. Can you do this by yourself? I know you have increased will, but like, these are not ordinary rabbits. What if that person is you? What if it's just you? You were that person. It's time for you to be that person for yourself. Why don't you show up? And burn this book too. Man, it's crazy how Echidna's presence was just here from the beginning. We've been in Echidna's house for so long. Protect the knowledge. There is a dubious but somewhat positive reading to this also, which is that as long as Beatrice is in the Forbidden Library, she's a lot safer than she would be out in the world. I don't doubt that this is largely because of what Echidna is actually saying about preserving her works. Going back to what I was saying in another episode about the underlying thrill and utility that might lead this kind of outlook is the feeling like it will lead to something great. It will lead to some kind of godliness or grand moment in time or I don't know, something glorious. If I just accumulate everything, that will be my work without there actually being anything tangible that's leading to. It's just like trying to get something out of everything. But speaking of doubling down on a narrative because you need it, it can't all be for nothing, right? I can't see it yet, but I gotta protect it. Because surely at some point my works will have the meaning I thought they would. But also, we could be keeping Beatrice safe a little bit. Read my books, Mark. Read my books, Beatrice and Roswaal. Yeah, also, the pages are blank. It's kind of a choose-your-own-adventure book, so I may have just missed this, but I wonder if they even have the same book, or if the contents of their books are the same. Roswaal seemed to get a lot out of it, Beatrice not so much. She has no idea. Or does she? Yeah, I don't think she's totally uncaring. She's an evil witch who sometimes does nice things and has nice feelings. And if we leave or betray the promise, in a way it's mother dying. What happened to your eye? By the way, what happened to that fight with melancholy you had? Who are you? Oh, it's new Roswaal. Wait, wow, I was totally lost. I somehow didn't even realize that was Roswaal's father. Is that really what it is? He himself doesn't even directly have experience with Echidna? Or is it something else? Is it like lineage in a different sense? I mean, they look identical. He's also doing research into replicating souls. He probably did something dirty. I also don't really see this Roswaal like doing a whole lot to raise a family. Who would live here? They don't even have real furniture. Roswaal A. Mathers and Roswaal B. Mathers. Let's be real, they just weren't Beatrice's type. Why do they all look like ancient cereal mascots? I can't blame her for not leaving with Count Chocula over here. I remember. Also a lot younger. Right, but you don't want to believe it. It's been 400 years of pain and disappointment. There it is, yeah. So Beatrice set us up, huh? Imagine putting all this into motion after 400 years of waiting and studying. Yeah, she was just sort of a pawn in all this. Yeah. Right. It really is along similar lines to Roswaal and that whole fatal flaw. You know, you spend 400 years, or even just 400 days, telling yourself all of this terribleness is for a grand purpose. The greater the sacrifice towards the terrible purpose, the harder it is to give up the purpose. And if you do start to lose it, hard to replace it with something else, because you've been actively suppressing and fighting those things the whole time. And instead it's just nihilistic, because your whole reason for being is gone. Nothing matters, nothing can be trusted, it's all a lie, it's all a scam. It might often be the case that in these situations where like it's just a blanket assessment of everything, the world is terrible, people are terrible, it probably refers to one or just a few very specific things. Just way over extrapolated. Hell no. You? Me? It's funny because there's a little bit of a weird contradiction here. In a way, he is him, right? But it's important that we not look at it that way. Subaru has to break her of that notion, and then ironically, he becomes that person. Okay, we had a nice escape montage. Everyone's out, except for Beatrice. Might as well just die. Okay, there's no time to play around. What? Oh man. That grip strength, though. Neither do you. Yeah, part of it is she wants to be chased. She wants to be convinced. She doesn't want to believe this. She doesn't like it. She's just afraid to believe it. Man, we're in so deep. Well, you said it. Okay, bye. It's tough because it actually is very sympathetic to me, but I also have been in this situation so many times where it's so clear that it's of their own doing, and on some level they want to be there. They don't actually want to be there, they don't like it, but they want to be there in the sense that they play a role in choosing it. It's frustrating that you can't just give people the perspective that you have on how circular and self-defeating this is. And it gets really, really disastrous and messy when your own ego is wrapped up in it. If you think it's your role, if you think it's your fault, if you're taking it as a measure of your capability or your worth to be able to rescue someone, now you're trapped, and now there's something antagonistic forming. That's part of why you shouldn't be the one. It's a really difficult line to walk. The best thing I can think of in this situation is to just be a source of uncompromising strength, with the care for the person's well-being at the center. But like, critically, there's a certain level of disattachment, at least from their narrative, that has to happen. There's that saying, never argue with an idiot, because they'll drag you down to their level and beat you with experience. There's something similar to that with just like raw, emotional, pain-filled arguments. They are in pain, and their rationale is coming from pain, and they will explain how painful it is for them. And they're operating in the logical framework of pain. You need a very solid core yourself that does not allow leakage into this emotional mess, combined with care and love for the person. So I think it's a combination of honesty, deep care, and also setting something actionable. Just trust me and let go of this for 1 second. And I promise you, if you don't like what's out there, this feeling you have, this problem, will always be right there for you to pick up again. Bring it on. You don't threaten me. In fact, I pity you. I sympathize with you. Yeah, but, however, I care about you, and your life matters, and I'll be there with you. Yeah, there you go. And because there's such an amazing future that you can't even imagine at this moment. And it's not in that book, because there's absolutely nothing in the book anyway. There's no answer in there. That's why it's so scary. Oh, wow. What did you say? Sorry, I couldn't hear you. Well, she saved Subaru. I don't know what this means. I don't know what that portal is. She can still Oh, that's what she said, okay. The biggest possible tragedy here would be Subaru goes back in and dies, and Beatrice escaped anyway, or is gone already. This is brave, man. This is bold. The last door. This is highly concerning. Talking from outside the door. Yes. Interesting. Putting it on her is a cool touch. Well, it's also that, I mean, he sort of can't alone. Right. They kept her going, kept her alive. He's validating how she feels. There's something like a purpose, something to do. Some service she could do. Well, let's not make it 401. There you go, there's the one step at a time thing. And we need to use this time to, I don't know, become a little more independent. Does that sound cold? Oh no. He does ask a lot, yeah. It's an interesting touch, because I guess part of Beatrice's orientation and what gives her a feeling of value and expression in the world stems from being in service to Echidna. So that service thing is a really strong instinct. That is maybe the beautiful thing about her character that kind of led her into this trap. It started out wonderful, and so, you know, you just sink into it. That's how you find your initial place or momentum in the world. But it got a little bit over-attributed to someone else. You know, it's not Echidna, it's Beatrice. If he hasn't left at this point, yeah, look forward. That's a nice phrase. I like that. That's cool. That's a big talk. I guess this is the character strength. Strong enough to lean on. Definitely looks super badass right now. Someone you could lean on. Please go now. Please go now. Stop quibbling. And leave. Thank you. For God's sakes, Subaru going above and beyond again. Subaru, the Archbishop of Patience. Another thing is, I don't think it's really a working strategy to try to mold your life around the avoidance of pain. Not that that isn't useful or can't be an important consideration, but there's an extreme of that where you just can't do anything. There is no change, there are no good things coming in without taking a little bit of risk somewhere. And you can do all that, you can take no risk and sort of lock yourself in a proverbial box, and the result is you sort of just won't have anything that good. And yet, you will still have a lot of pain. This is clearly not protecting Beatrice from pain. It's just a different pain. It's funny, Subaru's coming into this whole knighthood thing, you know, this protector thing, but in like a much, much healthier way. It feels so much more real thinking back to season 1 and, you know, that whole debacle. Did I need to get slapped? Why everyone always hitting auto? Where are you going? Easy there, easy now. Uh-oh. Who would skip this? I think we need a little bit of backup. I mean, this is amazing, and it'd be so cool if this happens, but okay. I won't make the same mistake of doubting Amelia again. Yeah, let's get some help in here. That looks so cool. Yeah, okay, yeah, there we go. I'm here to observe you do this alone, because I can't really help you. We can? Choose me. Cool. That's awesome. This solution is very resonant to me. I think it was really well done. Subaru easily could have fallen into the trap that I feel he might have made earlier in the show, where he's like, yeah, I am him. Just fall into my orbit. I'm great. I'll solve all your problems, baby. Or in the face of Beatrice's many, many rejections, getting angry that he wasn't able to solve it easily. I think I have that problem to an extent. I hate seeing people close to me suffer emotionally. I want to think of myself as somebody who can be helpful. Then it gets a little bit sticky when it gets attached to like my self-identity, and it's a little bit scary or threatening if I start to flounder at it. Then I'm compromised by it, and there's no way I can handle problems of that severity or help anyone when I'm compromised. But Subaru handled that really well, keeping his distance, but also being like very resolute, and also giving her a reason, giving something future-oriented, just to place the focus. This is oversimplifying, and it doesn't apply to everything, and it doesn't even mean that it's a solution to pain. But I think in many cases, while everyone is so fixated on the problem and the emotional pain of the problem, really what that often does is just exacerbates it, because the more you focus on something, the more it's becoming all-consuming in your framework for how you view things in the world and yourself, even if it's done in the name of fighting it or trying to get out of it. You treat it as if the problem is the pathway out of the problem, when at least sometimes what you actually maybe need is to focus on a better problem. Just finding something else to do that has better yield, that is just better for you. Just random and oversimplified example. Let's say you're agonizing over a breakup. You can lock yourself in your room and try to like manage your brain and handle your emotions of the breakup and tell yourself, I should be over this, I should be stronger than this, and play the same loop over and over again of what went wrong and what you might have done differently and regretting the past and lingering back and forth between trying to be resolute about getting over it and fantasizing about ways you can strategize your way into getting back in the relationship. Or alternatively, you can like go out in the world and do either something you've always wanted to do that makes you very excited to think about and try, even though that's really difficult, right? To put aside the pain for a little bit and do something else, which is why I like the idea of like, you can put it down, it'll still be there if you need it. Or do something that maybe is not that interesting for you or not that great, but you know it's good. So I don't know, like community service or some kind of volunteering. Go help your parents or friends with some project they're doing. Instead of just like sitting around throwing energy down into this rumination hole, put your hands on something that you know is good and then just give that a little bit of time to work its magic. It doesn't mean you won't be like in pain the whole time you're doing it. It's not an instant cure-all, but it just starts the process of being able to choose what you're doing and focus on again and remind you that the world is still spinning. This isn't everything in life. It isn't everything for you. It's not your entire future. It was just an event that didn't go the way you wanted it to go. They are just regrets. It is just pain. Your life, your future is not in any danger. There's so much more to look forward to if you would just like allow yourself to let go of this fixation a little bit. The events of the past you can't do anything about. You may regret, but you can't change. It doesn't confer any death sentence into your future or some kind of like magical identity that you carry around. There's no stain on your soul. A lot of times it's helpful just to do something that broadens that perspective. So I think Subaru's like help me is really great, super cool. And I also in this episode love Amelia trying to stand up to these rabbits. I wonder how they're actually gonna end up tackling this.